Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. It's She's New to America Pro and the series Her Journey. And today we have a guest, Anastasia. Anastasia is our community member and today she are joining us and we would love to learn about your journey. Anastasia, tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Azhar. Thank you for introducing me. First, I would like to say that, thank you for having me. This community really resonates with me, and later I think I would explain why. We're definitely
Mhm.
gonna touch base on that. So my background overall is in edtech and in education in that way or another because I also tutored in ESL for a couple of years. So that's pretty much, I think that that's what I'm good at. Yeah. Talking about, my past and my present and future, like what I'm doing exactly. Nowadays, I'm in a transitional phase, like in transitional stage. I'm navigating US job market, US job search, and it's all very exciting. And there are so many feelings about it that I'm trying to, go through, and I'm learning so much. And so that's why it is so important for me to participate in this community, since it gives so many opportunities to actually talk to people and to learn about different stories and real life challenges that people overcome as immigrants.
We love that. And thank you so much again that you having time and having this conversation. You have a very interesting background. I would like to learn more about your experience before the US, where you were and what you were doing before you came to the US and what was your day to day, like how it looked like in the past.
It's a little bit difficult to answer that question because I think that I've experienced so many different challenges in life, but I did overcome them. I mean, I believe that I actually did do that. My regular day would probably look like that. When I was working in a large international company, the edtech sector, I would probably work for the majority of my day. And then at the day, I would hop on a bus and go to the dancing training. Because dancing was my passion, and I had participated in that area for a very long time. And I just enjoyed leading the team and learning new choreography. So after that, I would probably come back and learn some new choreographies for the next day, because I usually had multiple projects going on. So it was really difficult to not forget about something, and I always try to provide as much as I could.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Tell us about this a little bit more. What was like you were teaching people? Is it with your passion? Do you practice it right now?
I wouldn't say that I'm a good dancer. I actually think that I haven't been dancing for like 4 years. So now I'm definitely not a good dancer at all. But that was just my passion, and it was a hobby. We organized the teams and the projects around it. So, by any means, I'm a professional dancer. No, that's not true.
You had a passion. I think it's the
Yeah.
most important. And you like how long you were doing.
Well, this hobby of mine probably lasted the longest, and I started doing it when I was at school, and I pretty much continued in my late 20s before I moved to a different country, and then another different country, and then another one.
Can we talk a little bit more about your movings, like what type of countries, like where you lived and how long you lived in those countries, and what's your favorite, maybe in that country, maybe favorite place where you enjoyed most of the time, like spending your time and then being there, maybe cultures, certain things that can give us a little bit more about you.
Well, I'm originally from Odessa, Ukraine.
Mhm.
So I love Odessa. And for me, I think that's the best place on earth. Yeah, it is. It is really beautiful. Again, in 2022, I moved to Poland first, and then I moved to Germany. And after that, in Germany, I met my husband, and we've decided moving to the United States made more sense than staying in Germany, because he was getting his bachelor's degree there. We were considering that as well, staying there, but we've decided to move to the US. And before coming here, I actually also had a chance to live in Thailand a little bit. Yes. So talking about my favorite place, I wouldn't say that I have a favorite place. I would say that probably I have several homes, how I call them, in the world. So whenever I travel, I try to return to those places because those places are very dear to me, and people whom I love, they live there. So I would say that it's Berlin, Germany. It's Odessa, Ukraine for sure. And it's United States too. But here it's a bit complicated because I also moved, I lived in Arizona first. Then I moved to Ann Arbor.
So you had quite a bit movings. You moved in different places.
Since 2022, so it's...
In the 4 years, you did a lot of changes, and I think it's challenging to get used to in one place and then move another place. What helped you to stay sane? What was your best advice for those who may have the same experience?
Well, I loved how you put it, staying sane. Yeah, it was very difficult actually. Like for me, like to level with you, it was incredibly difficult moving in 2022 after the war started, and then moving to another country and getting the documents there as well. But I guess what helped me is, first of all, amazing women who supported me, and they were always trying to help me whenever I needed that help. So I believe in women leadership. I believe that women together, they empower each other, and it could lead to something amazing. Second of all, I would say that besides dancing and education, I was also involved in psychology, and I've been involved in psychology for like 10 years. That definitely clarified some things for me. When I was doubting myself, I always had a therapist to whom I could talk to. And I think that people sometimes underestimate the power of that, because sometimes just talking to another person who possesses a certain ability, right, to understand a certain empathy, to understand what you're going through, could actually really help you out, even if it's a very difficult point.
I love that you mentioned about women and women leadership support. And as you shared at the beginning of our conversation, that joining a community helped you as well. We touched base a little bit about your past, and now we're talking about your present. And you're part of a community. You already contributing to a community through English speaking club, which is absolutely great. You're very consistent, and you always there for ladies who wants to learn, who wants to practice their English. We can talk about English itself and about your role in the community, and how did you learn English?
Well, thank you, first of all, Azhar. I really appreciate your consideration and everything and your efforts that you've put into this community. It really shows, and I just really love being there for the girls. And I enjoy every minute and every second of it. Talking about English, I would say I don't think it's perfect, because I don't think that anything can be perfect in this world, whether we like that or not, because that notion sometimes, just pops up and you're thinking about it, but then it's not there. And I definitely need to practice more. And well, I'm happy that we have that speaking club so that everybody can try their best. And maybe even when you're exhausted from the job search, from all of your day-to-day tasks, some members are moms, for example, they have kids they have to take care of, right? So after all of that, you can still come to this space where nobody's judging you, and you can speak up, and what you say actually matters. So thank you for having me again.
Yeah, love that. What helped you to improve? How did you grow till this point? Even though you're saying it's not perfect, but it's very, very high level.
Well, talking about English, so I was actually fortunate enough to start learning English when I was, I think, 4 years old. I started back then, and that happened because of my mom and because of my cousin who moved to the States back them when I was little. So she was always supporting my dream of learning a language because I really enjoyed it. The most important part for me that I could speak with my cousin's husband and with her kids in a natural environment. I just really enjoyed expressing myself in a different language. And of course, it helped me to keep some secrets, right, from my mom as well. I started there, and obviously there was a lot of acquisition for me rather than learning at first. But then, which is very important, and I think a lot of immigrants actually have this unspoken advantage that you are in this environment and you're able to learn. Some problems actually do exist because you don't get that much of maybe comprehensible input because you're not able to control it. That could be an issue sometimes, but overall, I think it's still good that you are in this environment and you're immersed in language. I had the exposure to English throughout my childhood, and then I had private tutors who helped me shape my identity, I would say, even because they influenced me so greatly. For example, talking about acquisition and learning, when I was a teenager, so what I started doing, I started obviously watching TV series and stuff, and a lot of people are telling you that watching TV series is going to help you learn pronunciation, it's going to help you learn new words. It's true, but that said, a lot of things need to align for you to be able to actually get what you need at the right time. Because a lot of people just start watching random shows and those shows, they do not have the vocabulary that those people might be ready for. Overall, my journey when it comes to English, overall in the students whom I've taught and to whom I've talked to, I would say that it has to be acquisition. You have to care about the environment, you have to care about input, and you must not forget about correct output and interaction with people. Because if you're trying to learn only by watching TV series, that's probably not going to happen because there's no output and you're not able to control your comprehensible input. So those are not earth-shattering concepts. That's just what I think, and that's what I understood from my experience.
I love the concept when you listen something, you may get an idea of maybe limited vocabulary of certain topic, but if you want to improve your English, you need to practice. And one of the reasons why we have in our community English-speaking clubs, we have two of them. One is when we have Toastmasters style club, and then the second when we just come and talk about this certain topic. We try to give more space to our community members to practice and to talk, and with no judgment, and when the environment is safe. Since you were learning English since you were a kid, and how many languages do you speak?
I speak 3 languages, which is Ukrainian, Russian, and English. But I'm also learning Korean.
Oh,
And
okay.
when I was a teenager, I learned a little bit of Japanese, but then I stopped. So
What made you start learning Korean?
I would say that since I was a teenager again, right? So first I started watching anime. Because of that, I started learning Japanese. And then later I switched to Korean culture. And so I watched a lot of Korean drama, Korean movies. They also contributed to my health, actually, and my mental health. Because like the dancing part of it, right, that I mentioned before, the idea of creating this community came from the Korean culture that we were immersed in back at that time.
What would you recommend to new immigrants if they have certain challenges with job search or with their families? What will be your best 3 recommendations from a psychology perspective?
Well, first of all, I would say that not only was I immersed in psychology because I really enjoyed learning about it since I was a teenager again, probably started there. I have very long-lasting hobbies, as you can see. But I underwent some professional training when it comes to psychology. And even though methods like psychoanalysis and transactional analysis, and even though nowadays I wouldn't maybe apply those approaches because I know a lot of different things, and those are not the prevalent things that I would concentrate on, But I do think that they can help as well sometimes when a person doesn't know what to do. So, talking about psychology and immigrants, overall, I would say that the most important part is to think what actually made your life enjoyable when you were living in a different country, and trying to install those things back into your life, because those were the things that they were your core probably, and they helped you survive maybe some other challenges in your life that you have experienced. So they would probably help you survive this challenge as well. And talking about staying sane, as we have already mentioned that, I would say that seeking help when you really need it, and life taught me that, and I've been learning how to ask for help when I really need it. That sounds a little bit, maybe I'm saying this in a very funny way, but at the end of the day, it's not funny because I used to work alone a lot. So a lot of immigrants I know, they are working also in isolation, um, and that didn't turn out that well. Even though back at that time I thought that everything's going on in a pretty decent way. But at the end of the day, so I think seeking help and maybe listening to different stories of different people can already empower you and inspire you, because it gives you the resolution for certain things that you might not have an understanding on how to deal with them yet.
Mhm. That's very helpful to just remember that we can ask and seek for help. Sometimes we don't have, I mean, even though we have this option, we can forget about it, that you're not alone. You always can ask for help and get the help. We just ask. Yeah, that's a good reminder. And I would think that it's maybe in our culture, it's more like I can do myself, I can handle it, and we rely on ourselves, and we want to be strong. We want to show that we are strong and we are capable. And I'm the only one who has this period of their life, but by the end of the day, we're all human and we need help, and we can have each other's back. And that's a good reminder. And thank you so much for that. Now we can move to future, and we can talk about your dreams and goals you have.
Talking about goals is a little bit difficult because I think for immigrants overall, because very often you need to pivot and pivot fast, and maybe even try out new things maybe more often than you anticipated in the first place. So for me, I would say that I know for sure that, since I've mentioned a lot of my hobbies, they're very long lasting. So I hope one of my goals is obviously to get familiar with the US corporate in terms of education. So I would like to continue my work in learning and development, as I used to do that, and I really enjoyed it. So for that, I would probably like to get a degree maybe. So I would be more knowledgeable about the topic because, as I mentioned before, what my mom did, she taught me that investing in yourself and in your education is always the most important thing. Even if you don't have, funds, which for immigrants I think is very important, because even when you're in a new country and, for example, you don't have the funds to go to the university yet, you can still do that by a lot of different organizations that could help you, and you should not give up on education. And in the future, I would actually want to study psychology further and maybe get in a master's in that too. So that would be one of my aspirations.
Wonderful. Yeah, I love that. And it's great. Thank you so much for sharing your advice from your mom. And I think it's a really great, again, reminder for us that one of the highest return on investment comes from education. So when we invest ourselves, we invest our education, it pays back. And we can see that very fast. And there is no devaluation, there is no inflation for our knowledge. That when we invest to our brain, to knowledge, to our experience, it always pays back and it never delays with that. It's a great example and a great aspiration. I'm sure that you will continue evolving and you will get there where you want to be in the future. Wonderful. Yeah, maybe you have some recommendations to new immigrants, women in the US. 3 recommendations for those who just came to JS and they're trying to grow here.
Well, overall, I would not say that I'm in a position to give advice because I think I don't have it figured out yet. So, but from what I've experienced and from what I've witnessed, I would say that summarizing our conversation as well. So I would say that to understand that bringing up some of your past experience that brought you joy into your life would definitely help you, even though maybe at first it seems that it's not important and it's not the first priority, but it definitely helps. That's going to be maybe the first part. The second thing that I would like to mention is going to be try to seek for help if you can. By help, I mean going to therapy if you can, or trying to sustain a healthy lifestyle and talking to people is the most important thing. So if you could join some sort of a community, maybe in your city, even if you're afraid and you don't understand how to talk to them and you're not good at networking, which I'm not good at networking at all. Like that's is definitely my weakness. That is not my strength for sure. So that thing, and maybe the third is that um understanding that maybe redefining yourself can actually give you more opportunities in the future than you are aware of now. So being open maybe to new challenges.
Love that. It's very, very insightful, especially the last one, that being open. And you already mentioned about pivoting, that being open for pivot, being open to change and just be agile with this such a fast changing world. That's a good reminder for everyone, not just for new immigrants, because if we stick with some plan and we don't want to give up, but there is a different opportunity that's coming to our way, it's better to change a plan and maybe be ready for that change as well. Wonderful, Anastasia. Thank you so much for coming today to us session, and we're so proud to have you as a community member, as a contributor to our community. And thank you so much for all the insights, and we would love to have you back sometime. Thank you so much, Anastasia.
Thank you so much, Azhar. I get a lot of inspiration from what you're doing, so I'm very grateful that I have this opportunity to actually talk right now and maybe share some of my experiences.
We can't wait to see how you will be successful in everything what you do.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for everyone who joined us and listened. Don't forget to subscribe and like us. Bye-bye.